I'm a builder at heart. So since I was little, I've never been a school person. So I've dropped out of college 4 times. Most people don't realize it. I never graduated with a degree. I'm an immigrant myself. I would go back to the little Muneer that had just moved from India. And I would tell him, don't change anything about you. You are perfect the way that you are. And everything that feels bad or wrong right now is going to be a gift in 10 years and 20 years. So honor it, cherish it, enjoy it.
Hi, and welcome to What Fuels You, where we sit down with social impact leaders to uncover what it is that fuels them to drive more impact. I'm your host, Andrew Troup, and today I'm sipping coffee with Muneer Panjwani, CEO of Engage for Good, to talk about his journey, the stories that have shaped him, and what it is that fills his cup. Well, Muneer, thank you so much for joining us for our vodcast, What Fuels You. I'm so glad to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to dig into all sorts of questions. We're going to talk a little bit about you, your journey, where that journey's taken you, both personally and professionally. But before we dig in, I want to talk a little bit about your beverage. So tell me a little bit about your beverage today. What's fueling you?
This is an iced latte with protein foam, so I can get my daily grams of protein in.
I love that.
I can't believe you just made me admit that.
So what does your drink say a little bit about your pace of life?
It's very fast, and I need energy all the time. And while I'm traveling, I forget to eat, so I've got to get my nutrients in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Important for all of us, because that often happens, right? We get going, we get traveling, we get moving, we forget to eat. We need those things to fuel us. That's great. Yeah. I've also not tried the protein foam, so I should check it out. Yeah. So moving beyond the actual beverage that's fueling you, talk to me a little bit about what else is energizing you. What else is energizing you right now in your life?
Professionally or personally?
Both. Let's start maybe personally.
Oh, wow. Okay. We're going there. Okay.
Yeah.
Personally, what's energizing me is I moved to San Francisco a couple of years ago. And I love exploring new cities. West Coast was a place I always wanted to go to. But I grew up in a big city in Hyderabad in India. I moved to the suburbs of Connecticut, and then always had the dream to move to New York. And I was in New York for 10 years throughout my entire 30s and lived that fast-paced life where you start at 6 in the morning, you end at 10 p.m. at night, and then you get exhausted and you get burnt out. So I had a lot of great experiences in New York, but then I was like, I need a break. And I need to move to San Francisco to find some peace and some balance. But what's fueling me is how the place that you're in really changes who you are, right? I'm a person who absorbs energy from wherever I am. So being in San Francisco has definitely made me pause a lot more. Mm-hmm. And I've realized that patience that I kind of lacked in New York is helping me do my work better and build relationships that are much more stronger, to create time for things that actually matter to me.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that journey and sort of the different perspectives, right? Because to your point, when we're in New York, which I'm a born and raised New Yorker, so I know it well,
City?
Right? Well, I grew up on Long Island,
Okay.
then moved into the city for many years,
Yeah.
Now living up north in the suburbs. But you're right, it's a very busy pace of life, and that sort of feeds us. So tell me a little bit more about this piece that you're feeling as you moved out west to San Francisco, because I still think of San Francisco as a big, bustling, energized city.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's bustling and energizing for somebody from New York, which is, at a completely different frequency, sure. Right? San Francisco feels like a nap.
I love that.
in a really good way, right?
Yeah.
It's like, after a really busy day, you're like, I just want 10 minutes to relax a little bit. San Francisco feels like that all the time. I made a decision that was unintentional, that ended up being a really good decision, because it's made me the kind of leader that I want to be today. It's made me the kind of family person that I want to be today, the kind of friend that I want to be today.
Now, at the same point, you told me you're finding that peace, making that move, and kudos to you for taking the risk, right? Because it was a little bit of an unknown,
Yep.
Making that move. But then you dove right into Engage for Good and a whole new company. So tell me a little bit on the professional side. What's energizing you right now?
I think there's so much work that needs to be done in the social impact space. And I see that ahead of me, and I get really excited about it. I'm a builder at heart. So since I was little, I've never been a school person. So I've dropped out of college 4 times. Most people don't realize it. I never graduated with a degree. I'm an immigrant myself. My dad was an immigrant. He sacrificed so much so that we could go to college. And just imagine his disappointment the first time I dropped out after freshman year, then sophomore year, then junior year, and then senior year, finally being like, I'm just done. I'm not doing this anymore, right? Yeah. But I was lucky enough to have done enough internships and enough projects and trips helping me teach and learn what I wanted to do in the world. And I realized that I wanted to work in nonprofit. I went towards where my heart was telling me to go, and every time was telling me to go towards impact. And the first organization that I ended up in was an anti-racism organization in Connecticut called the National Conference for Community and Justice. So I did a lot of anti-bias work. And then I realized this is not the kind of change that I want to create. I want to do something that feels more exciting, where I can have much more bigger impact. So I started working at DoSomething.org, and they were looking for somebody to do corporate partnerships. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And within 6 months, I had locked $1.5 million in corporate revenue and realized, wow, I really love this. Like, this is really great. And it included a combination of the skills that I learned talking about social impact through my DEI work and anti-racism work, with my desire to find a way for capitalism to serve a purpose that's good, right?
What happens when you're starting to feel the pressure? What's something that you sort of reach for first? What helps sort of fuel you in those more challenging, pressured type of moments?
So it's changed from when I was a little bit younger. When you are sort of responsible for other employees, you're responsible for a sector, you're responsible for all these different stakeholders that are part of your work, it sort of forces you to take a step back and try and make the right decision. So part of that has been just patience, like learning patience and learning to differentiate between what is right and what is wise. And the wisdom that I like to at least practice my own decision making is can we hold both truths together at the same time? Right? You don't have to be wrong for me to be right, and I don't have to be right for you to be wrong. How do we build bridges? Right? How do we make the wise choice rather than the right choice?
When did you first build that relationship with purpose?
So I actually haven't thought about this too much. In India, my family grew up very poor. My dad is one of 14. They're all living in the same house, 2 bathrooms, not a good environment. My dad was the one who had always this sense of generosity. Even if we don't have enough, we have enough to give something away. So I remember when I was younger, I would get on my dad's little scooter, go around the city and hand out blankets during the winter in Hyderabad. I have memories of going to the local orphanage where we would basically buy lunch and dinner for all the kids there. Like, these are core memories for me. I grew up Ismaili Muslim. It's a very small sect of Islam that is rooted in the principle of service. So every single young person has to volunteer. You're here for what we call the ummah, which is the community.
Where do you think the biggest misunderstandings are as it relates to partnership in our sector?
When we talk about partnerships, we often don't talk about power. In our space, there's a very uneven split of power, right? Funders have power, nonprofits don't have power. I've always walked into the room with this confidence that, like, what we have to offer is really valuable. I'm not here seeking your charity. I'm here to offer you something that's of really important value to you, that's going to help you reach your goals. It just makes them having access to resources that you need to do your work better, right? Corporations need to also understand their power resides mostly in the resources that they have. And I don't think that's necessarily true. The power that they have is shifting culture, right? Making culture something that values service, that values impact. So when I look 5-10 years into the future, I hope that people don't look at nonprofits as charity cases, that they look at them as necessary for them to do their business well.
Companies' biggest asset is not the actual dollars, it's that culture shift, right?
Yeah. We just have to talk about it.
Yeah.
We're asking for money, we're dealing with money, let's talk about it, right? And money leads to conversations about power. And I think if we don't address both of those head on, we're actually not going to get to the real conversation about how do we collaborate and partner together. It's about surfacing the different kinds of value that we have to offer to a relationship.
We often talk a lot about, let's go into the important conversation about what joint impact do we want to have? How do we want to co-create and co-design that impact? But if we keep avoiding the elephant in the room, which is but what dollars is that going to take? What's the money that's involved? What's the power dynamics we're dealing with? We're never really going to get as close to or as successful as we want to be toward those shared goals. What's some of your advice to folks, or what's something that even for yourself has kept you brave in this moment?
You see the work, and the work inspires me. From my vantage point, when I look at it, I'm also seeing gaps. I just see the same formula repeated again and again and again, right? And when you look at the for-profit sector, if you do the same thing again and again, you're not going to survive. But for some reason, right, we keep surviving. But I do think we need more innovation. What ends up happening is nonprofits with the shiniest brands, the sexiest leaders, and the big celebrity endorsements, or just a long history, tend to get a lot more money. So innovation might be happening in a small organization in Detroit, but we just don't know about it. right? And the market forces aren't there to invest resources into them.
Sometimes I think it's important for us to also reflect on the setbacks, kind of lift those up for others to hear, like, it's not always perfect and polished and shiny.
In one of my last jobs, I applied for a C-level role, and I've been in that organization for a while, and I really thought I deserved it, and I was fighting for it. I did everything that I could to get that job. Ultimately, I didn't get it, and I was destroyed. The one clarity that I had in that moment was I had the decision to leave at that point or stay, and thank God I stayed. I decided to stay. I stayed. I said, I'm not leaving for this reason. I'm going to leave when it's time for me to leave because I still love the work that I do. And I'm so glad I did because that year that I worked in that organization taught me so much about leadership that I carry today. Looking back on it, now that I'm CEO of Engage for Good, I don't think I would have been ready for that job. I learned what it meant to sit with that discomfort.
So Muneer, I would love to dig in and just hear from you a little bit about the people who've shaped the way that you lead today. And maybe what are some of the things that they've taught you, either indirectly or directly?
It's hard to pinpoint a few people because I feel like I've grown up in such a great community of people, but my family, absolutely, right? I talked about how my family taught me the value of service and generosity, and that's certainly shaped who I am. My sisters inspire me. They, being the son of an Indian family, there's responsibilities that come with that. I'm also gay, which means that I can't fulfill some of those responsibilities because I just decided to move to New York. And they've been such wonderful supports in balancing that out, where while my dad was alive, my sisters sort of took on that role. So they taught me the value of sacrifice for the family, right? They taught me so much about what it means to love your family.
Tell me, if you were to go back and talk to your younger self, what might be your advice to your younger self around this journey that you're about to take and around navigating and finding purpose?
I would go back to the little Muneer that had just moved from India. And I would tell him, don't change anything about you. You are perfect the way that you are. And everything that feels bad or wrong right now is going to be a gift in 10 years and 20 years. So honor it, cherish it, enjoy it. Shame is part of life. Guilt is part of life. You will never make everybody happy, but always listen to your heart.
Such good advice for all of us. And definitely, I think, for a lot of us, something our younger selves needed to hear, right?
Yeah.
To follow your heart.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit now, current Muneer. What would those that are closest to you say? How would they describe you?
I'm playful and I'm curious. I'm adventurous and I care too much and I work too much, probably. I spend too much money, probably also. I think they describe me as somebody who listens really well, who probably is not as available as he should be. I'm still learning of how to create that balance between creating time for family and creating time for friends, and then also creating time for myself.
The reality is, I guess in my opinion, we never achieve balance. That's just an ever ongoing struggle.
That's
right?
Beautifully said. Yeah.
But it's just that we should continue to feel that struggle. And if we're at a point where we're not feeling that tension, I actually think that's where we feel the red flag, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're not feeling that tension, something's probably amiss.
When we say balance, people assume that balance is static. Like once I've found balance, it's gonna be balanced for the rest of my life. No, it's gonna change day by day.
Oh yeah, I
right?
find
Today,
balance on a Monday, it's gone on a Tuesday.
Exactly.
It might be gone on a Monday evening.
Yeah, it has to be really scheduled into your time.
Yeah. Who are some of the folks who have shaped the way that you lead today?
I worked with leaders that were fast moving, very decisive, think about the consequences later. Let's break things. Let's just make stuff happen now.
Yeah.
Here's a big vision. I'm really charismatic. I'm going to go out there and get us all this fun, all this money. And it moves just really, really fast. It grows and grows and grows. Learned so much from that, right? Mm-hmm. Then I've worked with leaders who are extremely slow and who take a lot of time, who look for perspectives from 7, 8 different people before they make a decision, right? And between those two, I learned so much about when to activate which part of what I wanted. And if you've never worked with kids, work with kids. They will teach you how to communicate really well, right? So when I was doing my DEI work, I was running anti-bias trainings in high schools all across Connecticut and Western Massachusetts. And kids will say all kinds of things when you're talking to them about racism, homophobia, sexism, all those things, right? And they will say it to your face. And now you have to find a way to communicate with them with respect, with validation, with acknowledgement, and trying to explain to them what this other perspective might be, while also listening to them, right?
Well, Muneer, I want to shift gears into what's one of my favorite sections of our What Fuels You podcast.
Okay.
It's my rapid fire questions. We'll go through
I've
a
never
couple
done
of
one of
these
these
very
before, so
quick.
I'm excited.
They're
It's my
fun.
first one.
They're fun. Coffee, tea, or something else?
Coffee and chai.
Are you an early mornings person or a late nights person?
Late night.
Late night person. All right. Okay. Burning the midnight oil.
Yep.
What's one non-negotiable habit that keeps you steady?
Working out.
Thinking about partnerships, thinking about value in partnerships. What's a hill you will die on value when you think about partnerships?
Equity.
Equity. Love that. Go-to TV show.
Any reality TV, any true crime documentary.
Okay.
Yeah, love it all.
I love that. Go-to podcasts.
There's so many. I guess the first one that comes to mind is How's Work by Esther Perel.
No, wrong answer. What Fuels You? That's your go-to podcast. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Most underrated ingredient of trust.
Honesty.
One thing you've changed your mind about in the last few years.
I don't have to be right.
Best advice you've ever gotten and or you've ever given.
Trust your instincts. Always trust your instincts.
So as we kind of round things out, what's maybe one of your proudest moments when you look back on your life, on your career?
My dad passed away a few years ago. And I think where I am now and the kind of life that I lead now, I think he would be very proud of. And he was extremely scared and really nervous about where I would go in life because I kept dropping out of college and I took really low paying jobs in nonprofits, and he just wanted me to be financially stable and successful and make a name for myself. And feel like I'm doing that while also doing good. And I think if he were here, he would look at that and say, I did good. The sacrifices that I made were worth it.
Yeah. All right, one last question for you.
Okay.
As you look forward for yourself, how do you see yourself continuing to fuel impact?
Well, we're launching leadership awards, so we're recognizing individual leaders that are doing really, really good work. So I'm excited to bring a sense of community and celebration to the sector.
I love that. Community and celebration while we fail fast with intentionality.
There you go.
Perfection.
Perfectly. Well
I
said.
love that. Muneer, thank you so much for joining us and being here with us today, sharing your insights and being willing to share a little bit about your own personal journey.
Thanks so much for having me. This was so fun.
Yeah.